UFC agrees to $375 million settlement in landmark antitrust case after a decade-long legal battle. The UFC has agreed to a $375 million settlement with its former fighters in a landmark antitrust lawsuit. The case, known as the Liu vs. Zuffa lawsuit, accused the UFC of suppressing fighter wages by using its dominant position in the MMA world from 2010 to 2017. On Tuesday, the judge overseeing the case, Richard Franklin Boulware II, approved the settlement, marking a historic moment for the fighters involved. The lawsuit claimed that the UFC's business practices had unfairly restricted fighters' earnings and left them with little negotiating power. Instead of facing a trial that could have resulted in billions in liability, the UFC opted to settle. Initially, a $335 million settlement was proposed in March, but it was rejected by Judge Boulware in July for being too lenient toward the UFC. The revised $375 million agreement was submitted in September and has now been approved, finally bringing the 10-year legal saga to a close. The UFC acknowledged the settlement in a brief statement, saying, "Today's decision is welcome news for both parties. We are pleased to be another step closer to bringing the Liu case to a close." The fighters involved in the case are expected to share in a total payout of $260 million after $115 million in legal fees are deducted. According to former UFC fighter Tom Lawler, approximately 1,200 fighters will benefit from the settlement. On average, this works out to about $217,000 per fighter, although actual payments will vary depending on the individual circumstances. For the fighters who battled in the courtroom for years, this is a hard-fought victory. "Historic day for the UFC, historic day for the fighters," said Lawler, reflecting on the long journey. "After 10 years, it seems like it's over." Despite the resolution of this case, the UFC isn't entirely in the clear. A similar antitrust lawsuit, led by former UFC fighter Kajan Johnson, is still pending. This case focuses on fighters who competed from 2017 onward, and no trial date has yet been set. In response, the UFC has filed a motion to dismiss the complaint, but the outcome of that legal battle remains uncertain. For now, the approval of the $375 million settlement is a significant victory for the fighters who took on the UFC in this groundbreaking case. It also serves as a reminder of the ongoing struggle for better compensation and rights in the world of mixed martial arts.